Good afternoon, everybody. This is Charles Cook, your host here at Cook Baxter, the Immigration Hour that we normally do on our podcast each week. This is also live today, so we're grateful to everybody to join us to talk a few things immigration, and of course to answer your immigration questions, which I love doing. It's kind of like playing Immigration Jeopardy. Gosh, it's a lot of fun. And I will tell you that I'll be out of town the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to take, I guess the next week. I'll be taking a short break with my wife on a holiday, and then we'll be back in town in 2 weeks to talk more immigration news. I do want to start today to talking about the new Georgia immigration law. What is this new Georgia immigration law that so many people are coming to my office and freaking out about? Well, here is the new Georgia immigration law. I'm going to tell you, as it pertains to immigrants, it is a giant nothing burger. It's just a nothing burger. So HB 1105, which is the bill that passed the legislature, signed by the governor a couple of days ago, does a couple of things, none of which really have an impact on the everyday lives of immigrants in Georgia. This is not the Florida law where all of a sudden the police have been allowed to arrest people because they think they're undocumented, which, by the way, is wildly unconstitutional and preempted by the Constitution and will be struck down by the courts. Even Trump courts will have to strike this down. No, the new Georgia law is in reaction to the horrific killing of the young student at UGA by a Venezuelan asylum seeker. And the Georgia legislature thinks they were doing a good thing when they passed this bill because D.A. King told them to do it. Oh, they've got to do this. What this bill does is really do nothing. For example, one of the good things this bill does is that it mandates that if ICE puts a detainer on someone and the sheriff holds that person, which this requires them to do, which, by the way, is current law in Georgia, if there's a detainer, it limits that detainer to 48 hours, which is the federal law. They're literally just writing what is the law. Thank you very much. One thing they took out of this bill was tracking immigrants, trapping detainees by their country of birth. It would have been the only second state to do that, by the way. Texas is the only other state that does that. It basically will ask people to show their lawful presence in the United States if they're not U.S. citizens. By the way, everybody the police arrest are now required to prove their citizenship. So you, loyal American, how are you going to do that? It's certainly not your accent. No, that's not going to be indicated whether you're a U.S. citizen. I mean, do you have to carry your naturalization certificate around? That would be monumentally stupid. No, they say that lawful presence, you being lawfully here, can be shown by most states' driver's licenses. This does exclude certain driver licenses, by the way. California, Washington, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, states that give licenses to everybody. Utah. You can carry around your I-94 record, which hilariously is never given to anybody anymore. When you come in the country, you're no longer given proof of your entry. You have to go online to find it. Yeah. Who are these people in the legislature? Carrying a green card around, which, by the way, is federal law. Okay. A valid Nexus card, which does nothing to prove that you are an American because Canadians get it. A global entry card, which, by the way, is given to people besides U.S. citizens, or a valid U.S. passport. Just say, if you plan on being arrested, you better have these documents on you. Otherwise, they're going to call ICE on you. This is actually kind of an improvement previously where basically everybody's reported. But now they're not going to be. Now, here's the other thing. And the hilarious part about this, and it's hilarious to me as an immigration lawyer, is that when somebody's arrested and their fingerprints are taken by the police, ICE is notified through the National Law Enforcement Database. They're notified of everybody ever. And their computers then run an immediate check on the name and birth date. And if it comes up, they then determine whether they want to put ICE hold. This law says, hey, sheriff, you have to physically contact ICE on everybody you arrest. Yeah. And to whom? Who at ICE is going to ICE doesn't have money to take 157 phone calls a day from 157 different counties in Georgia. That's not going to happen. And here's what I really feel bad for the sheriffs who testified against this bill, by the way, because it was monumentally stupid. requires them to enroll in 287G, which is current state law. I mean, that was already current law, but the Biden administration isn't enrolling anybody in 287G because they don't need to, because ICE gets notify everybody when they get arrested. Comply with ICE detainers, which they do. I don't know of any sheriff who doesn't comply with an ICE detainer in Georgia. None. The not to exceed 48 hours, I mean, it prevents over detention, which is, of course, illegal, and the states can actually get sued on. But what it does, it gives civil and criminal penalties against the government, against the sheriff, against the deputies. So you as a private citizen can sue the sheriff. Wow. No wonder the sheriffs were against it. It's a really stupid law. It really does nothing to improve the safety of Georgians. Nothing at all. It doesn't do anything at all to improve that. So it's just shocking to me that people are freaking out. Don't freak out. This bill does not make the police into immigration agents. It does not turn them into enforcement authorities for the government for immigration purposes. It just says, look, if you arrest a felon and ICE knows because you let them know because it's in the system, you fingerprinted them, and ICE says, hold them. Great. They're already doing that. The guy the Venezuelan who was released in Athens had no detainer placed upon him. There was no, and ICE knew he was arrested. He was left for shoplifting. It wouldn't have stopped what happened. This bill would not have stopped what happened. It's a nothing burger. Congratulations, Georgia legislature, for once again passing a law that does really nothing. Congratulations. The next thing we want to talk about, I've got to talk about this. This is the USCIS lawyer tweet. The lawyer tweet from the official USCIS tweet page. I guess it's their X page that says this: hashtag USCIS answers, as if you would ever go to the USCIS for an answer for anything. That's like calling the IRS for tax information. Would you really do that? Or would you talk to a professional? Well, USCIS says this: hey, you can file USCIS forms yourself and without an attorney's help, including the Form N-400. Yes, the complicated 30-page form, which asks questions like, have you ever committed a crime for which you have not been arrested? That you can submit online without a lawyer. And if you seek help from a lawyer, we can help. What? And then they link you to their scams page. Yeah, the first question you ask, why would the Immigration Service tell you that you don't need a lawyer? Even the police, by the way, USCIS are law enforcement agency. Even the police are required to tell you, by the way, you have a right to a lawyer. You in fact do have a right to a lawyer at the Immigration Service. Unless your case is very straightforward and very simple, frankly, you probably need a lawyer. Unless you're really good at 30-page forms and answering questions like, have you ever committed a crime for which you have not been arrested? Except if that crime happens to be a misdemeanor or a traffic offense, in which case it was more than 5 years ago, but less than 10 years ago, and involved a fine of more than $500, then you might not need a lawyer, or you might. We don't really know. We have no idea what we're talking about. Congratulations, USCIS, on really stepping your foot again in this one. But again, why would they tell you don't need a lawyer? They don't want you to have a lawyer. They don't want a lawyer sitting next to you in your interview in your complicated immigration case because it lets them run roughshod over you. I assume you've all seen Law and Order. People admit to crimes when they don't have a lawyer sitting next to them. Well, some of them do because they're idiots, but that's not going to happen with our clients. So that's number two. That is my hilarious immigration, you don't need a lawyer to file an immigration form tweet of the day. Thank you, USCIS. Did you actually pass that by your legal counsel before posting it? I don't think you should be fired for posting it, but I think it reflects the true belief in the agency that they do not want lawyers involved. They don't want to listen to lawyers. They don't want to liaise with lawyers. They don't want to answer to lawyers. Why? Because we hold them accountable. The best thing I can do in an immigration interview is sit there and do nothing or say nothing. I just sit there and say nothing other than say, hello, officer, how are you? I'm the lawyer. I'm sitting next to my client. I'm here to make sure he's properly represented. Please proceed. The best interviews end with me saying nothing more than goodbye. If I have to say something, that means the officer is out of line. And I can't tell you, unfortunately, how often that happens. Urge you to, shame on you for tweeting this. That's my public service announcement for today. The third thing we want to talk about today, and this is something that's been really interesting to me, is the Biden parole immigration trial balloon that they floated now 2 weeks ago. So here's what they said. They floated to the press, and they do this all the time. Every politician does this, by the way, or every president does this. They let leak to the press the Biden administration is considering giving parole in place, which is parole inside the United States. So you're already here, undocumented. We're going to give you parole. We're going to let you have a lawful entry without leaving. I know it's confusing. I know the word parole is confusing, but go with me on this. We will parole you to lawful status if you are the spouse of a U.S. citizen. Because if you have a parole entry, you can adjust status. That's about 1 million people, by the way. Maybe 1.1, 1.5, probably more. They weren't going to do this for parents of citizens, which they currently do, by the way, if the kid is in the military. So this already exists. This power, this authority already exists. It's gone unchallenged or unsuccessfully challenged. So they're floating this. Now, oddly enough, why are they floating this in May? I think it started in April, but now May of 2024. Take us back in time to May of 2012. When the Obama administration's offices have sit-ins around the country by Dreamers. And they surprisingly announce, hey, we're considering doing something for Dreamers. And then on June 15th, the first day of the conference of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, they announced DACA. Now, DACA has been challenged left and right and all over the place, but it's survived up till today, 10 years, 12 years. And it's changed hundreds of thousands of lives. 1 million lives have been changed because of DACA. So Biden's floating this, hey, I already do parole in place. I already have DACA, which is a form of not even parole. It's a deferred action, which he clearly has authority to use. Why can't I parole in place you spouses of U.S. citizens? So where are we with that? Well, it's kind of just melted back into the earth. The ice is melted. This trial balloon is deflated and come back down. And honestly, we don't know. We don't know where this trial balloon is. Will it reinflate? Will it explode? Will it remain deflated? We don't know. I would suspect, and I would tell my listeners, to stay tuned to around the middle of June. And the AILA conference, which once again is that same week, 12th to the 15th of June, something like that. And I would not shock me, while all the lawyers are out of town at their annual conference in Chicago, that they float this balloon again and they actually create a policy. So we'll see. I think this is going to happen. I think it makes sense. You're going to basically fix 1 million people's status. People that normally wouldn't be, were too afraid to go to leave the country or really couldn't afford to do a waiver, which is very expensive. It takes 4 years right now. This would be a fantastic thing. It is a good thing. It's something the immigration lawyers, by the way, told him to do 3.5 years ago, right when he was elected. We gave him a list of 200 things he could do that he had power and authority to do as president. He's done like 3 of them. Poof. So there you go. The Biden immigration trial balloon has been floated, and now we will see if it stays in the air. All right, let's get a couple questions here. We've got tuned in about a year ago. Thank you. You're welcome. I don't know who you are because you have, you graduated. Congratulations. Test Bond, you are welcome. What is your opinion on Oklahoma Bill 4156? I'm not familiar with Oklahoma Bill. Let's take a look. 4156. Is this one of those crazy immigration bills? Let's see. 4156 takes aim at signed into law by Governor Stitt on April 30th. Takes aim at immigrants involved with organized crime such as drugs, sex, and labor trafficking. In actuality, it includes all undocumented engaged in an impermissible occupation, whatever that is. It's a little. I haven't studied this bill, but I will tell you, it doesn't seem to me like it's probably going to have really much of an effort. Legalism criminalizes presence rather than behavior. this is probably one of those bills that I'm sure will be challenged immediately if it's not already been filed against. States cannot pass laws that affect immigrants specifically, that purport to regulate immigration. That's been illegal and unconstitutional since around 1858, 1860, when California wanted to do it to stop Chinese nationals from coming to America. Yes, it all goes back to racism. All these bills go back to racism. Let's call them what they are. Stupid thing for Oklahoma to do, as if Oklahoma is growing, right? It's like Iowa. Is it really going to grow? Why would you live in Iowa? Why would people stay in Oklahoma? It's Oklahoma. Probably offended a bunch of Oklahomans now. Sorry about that. Sorry, Doug. Hello, Mr. Cook. I am Mr. Luck. That would be even better. Any feedback from the appeal court? No. As everybody knows, on the DV 20 and 21 cases, we have filed, along with all the lawyers, all the cases, filed basically a letter, a motion with the judges at the Court of Appeals saying, hey, what's up, man? It's been 18 months. Really? Come on, man. So no, we have not heard back from the court. What happens next after arrest? Arrest where? If you are arrested by a sheriff in Georgia, you don't have to, you have to be released. I mean, unless ICE puts a detainer on you, and ICE is only putting detainers on people that have felony charges, serious felony charges, not for DUIs, not for shoplifting, not for driving without a license. You can always get out. You can always get a bond. So you don't have to plead guilty. So no, I don't know where that question comes from. Celeste, if my question is, if my husband is a permanent resident and he gets pulled over for no license, can his application help him anyway? It depends. If you have a pending adjustment application, or do you have pending I-130 that needs a 601A waiver? I need more information. But generally speaking, if your husband's in here for 10 years, he's married to you, a U.S. citizen, he's eligible for cancellation of removal, so he's not going to be deported. He's going to have to go in front of a judge. It'll take years. So, yeah. Jonathan Pitt. Jonathan, is there still a huge backlog in the courts? Oh, my God, Jonathan. I was going to talk about that today. But, yeah, the court, you're talking about the federal courts? The GO case is obviously in federal court. I thought you were referring to immigration court, which has got 4 million cases in their backlog, literally. This is not a backlog. The GO case is not stuck in a backlog. Cases that were argued the same day have been decided. Cases argued after us have been decided, long after us, including the Trump case, have been decided. There's something going on. It could be there was another case on appeal with a different panel. Maybe they're negotiating a joint decision. Maybe Judge the one judge that was very much in our favor and the one judge very much against are fighting over the middle judge. I don't know. There's clearly something going on behind the scenes that we have no access to. We have no look into. We have no knowledge of. Got nothing other than pray. Test bond is back. Mr. Ice was waiting. They got shocked to know. Last I went home with over 5 years and left the court. I don't know what that means, test bond. I think there are crimes where you don't get time to call an attorney and there's no trial. ICE will take you to detention center. Well, keep in mind, if you're released, if you're released by the state, ICE will pick you up. You don't have to have a trial for ICE to pick you up. And at that point, you can ask for a bond, although most bonds now, if you have a conviction, you're not eligible for bond. If you've been arrested, you're eligible for bond from a judge. So it just depends on the case. FRMG, hello, I'm DACA. Woo! My company filed H-1B. To apply for it, do I have to wait for an application to be approved? I would wait for it to be approved because you can't get the H-1B until September 21st. It's not good till October 1st, so you can't get it until September 21st. I think you can apply for advanced parole now. So, because it's going to take them 4 months, right? So apply now. So I want to leave on September 15th. I've got a business trip. And then with that, you don't have to say you're going to the consulate, but business trip to the same country you're going to. And I tell your employer to write your letter. Maybe you're going to a conference, maybe you go for business meetings, wherever it is. And you go from there. Complete with just lottery, don't forget. So if you were, I assume you filed your H-1B already. So you got a receipt notice. You don't have to put the receipt notice in. It's not required. Well, you just say, look, I am going to a business trip. And your employer writes you a letter saying you're going on a business trip. And make sure you go for meetings wherever it is you're going or go to a conference wherever you're going. Test bonds. Sir, people are composed of EADs has no status. Correct. They can, keep in mind, if you have a compelling services EAD, that itself does not give status, but they might have an underlying status like an H4. But if they have no underlying status, they believe they have a bar. So again, that seems like a very specific question, which is the kind of thing that you'd probably call me about for an appointment so that we could actually give you legal advice. Keep in mind, I'm giving you general information here. I'm not advising you to change your life based on what I'm saying. You can call and make an appointment right here. That's how we roll. Let's see what we got here. Emmanuel says, good morning. Any news for DACA? No, there's nothing going on with DACA other than get your advance parole. Travel now. Do it. Híjole. TPS too. If you got TPS, get your advance parole if you don't have a legal entry. Mr. Cook, any fear for this court? No, I already talked about that. There's nothing. Can we question the court about the 601 case? No, 601 case on appeal. So we're actually waiting, kind of on hold on appeal. We're waiting for the Ninth Circuit to make a ruling on a similar case, and that ruling will control our case. And they took that case on an expedited appeal within a couple months of filing that oral argument, and now it's been 6 months in that case as well. I think the recent Supreme Court case, which made clear that there is jurisdiction to hear these cases, is making the Ninth Circuit reconsider their decision. So time, while not your friend, and immigration is clearly moving faster. I think they're in January 2021 now on cases, which they clearly wouldn't have been if we hadn't sued them. We all know that. They would have still been on early 2020. So now they're moving. And I would expect, and I think they're expecting, they told the court they'd be up to the end of 2023 by October. I think they will be to the end of 2022 by October for those filings. There's nothing. The law just takes a long time. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind ever so fine. Let's see. Are people still filing lawsuits? Most people are not filing anymore because so many people have lost this issue. Some have won, but very few have won. So many have lost. So we're kind of waiting for this next wave of appellate court decisions to kind of push it forward. All right. So, hey, it's been great being with you today. I'm actually giving a continuing legal education charla today about immigration. It's going to be fun. I'm actually talking to a bunch of immigration lawyers, so it won't be fun for you if you're not an immigration lawyer. But if you're an immigration lawyer, maybe you could. Now, Celeste asks, can someone who is undocumented travel by plane inside the states? Yes, with a valid. I don't know who Jay is. A lot of Americans are in favor of mass deportation. No, they're not, Jay. No, they're not. No, sorry, Jay. Maybe you are. I don't know. I don't know who Jay is, but a lot of Americans are not in favor of mass deportation, mostly because it would destroy their own lives and rapidly destroy our economy. That would be a stupid thing to do. I think what most Americans are in favor of is Congress fixing the law and having a legal system. Well, Jay's not. I think you're wrong. I don't think Americans are in favor of mass deportation. It would be a really stupid thing. There's so many better things that we can do other than that. Faye Day just got here. Any news? What you mentioned last time, how leaving permanently on EP may not trigger? No, Jay, I don't have any update on that. It's probably not going to be till the fall when I have any update on the issue of traveling on advance parole, not triggering the 10-year bar for purposes of consular visa issuance for those that have more than 1 year of unlawful presence before they got DACA. Good question, Jay. Faye Day. All right, I will see you guys. I guess I'll see you next week. If you have any consults, just call. Happy to help you anytime. You can also follow me on the Twitter machine. We're on YouTube. Our immigration website is easy because it's named immigration.net. And we're here to help you navigate the immigration system, understand the immigration system, and come out a winner on agencies that are not really there to help you in any way. They are from the government and not here to help you. So we will see you in 2 weeks. I'll see you live. Next week I will be out of the country on a trip with my beautiful bride. Be back in 2 weeks, and we're going to have some more fun. We'll talk to you then.